Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Nightfall, and this discussion is going to be a 2-for-1 because we're going to be talking about the team versus team aspect as well as the cooperative. So the run-through was the cooperative version. That was just easier to record, and I just didn't want to do the team versus team as a run-through. So, which one do you guys want to talk about first?
Right, you just said.
You want to talk about team versus team or co-op?
Let's do the cooperative because it's fresher on our minds.
That's fair. Okay, this is a whatever cooperative game.
Yeah. It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I felt it confirmed to me exactly what I was thinking when I was told this is team versus team, this is cooperative, this is campaign. Yes. You have 3 different modes, and none of them are done exceptionally well.
Right.
Not saying that they're bad.
Right.
Technically, the campaign we don't know. I feel like I would be more into the campaign because Ryan Lockett wrote the stuff.
Right.
And it's just 1 or 2 players. You just kind of can go through it. Not a horrible overall theme.
No.
Like, generic for stuff like that.
It's a
like,
fantasy generic thing.
Yeah, just demons coming out of portals, knights defending them.
Right.
But the cooperative, for me, I never once felt like we were in any sense of like, oh man, if we don't pull this off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we look at the score, because we can talk about also the team versus team, it was 10 to 9 points at the end.
Yeah.
Here it's what, 10 to
6? 6?
Yeah, 6. And I never felt threatened by it.
Yeah, and it's only 6 because we actively let them kill.
Right, because we
elders.
knew it was going to benefit us to win the game anyway.
Right.
So the thing I probably what might do better, and again, this is kind of the hard thing, I think you draw 1 card, you do the primary ability, you draw the second card, you do the secondary.
Yeah.
Because the fact we could choose, we chose a lot of times where they would do the less optimal play.
Right, and see, I was thinking of that, and I even
Or sometimes nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by the less optimal play.
Yeah, and I even double-checked that. I was like, okay, you know what, let's just see. Let me reread it. Draw 2 cards from the cooperative deck. Each cooperative card has a primary action at the top and a secondary action. When you draw the cards, place 1 of these cards right side up and the second card upside down. So that, in and of itself, says you pick in what order they do it.
Which makes it more strategy than luck-based in that sense.
Right, but it also doesn't really...
It
doesn't lend itself to being a good AI system.
Right.
Because I was going to say the AI is pretty stupid. In fact, most of the time, based off going off the rules, which, for the record, in this rule book, you can clearly tell the cooperative mode was a second thought because it's a page.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, it doesn't even give you any unique setup or something. It's just like, hey, set up for the standard game, but now you use this AI deck. Mm-hmm. It's like I like the fact that there's 2 abilities. I think
I do.
That's pretty cool. You don't see that a whole lot. Usually it's just here's the enemy and here's its massive sheet of shit it does.
Right.
So the fact that it's like, okay, well, I have this particular imp, therefore it's going to do something different. In terms of replicating a team versus team, not really.
No.
I felt like there wasn't any strategy there.
Now, to be fair, one of the things I do think is it's a game night, you're teaching this game to random people. The cooperative mode, especially with that ability to basically make it easier so it's not rougher on people, makes the game a little bit more enjoyable for that aspect. So what I call almost the game night demo.
Right.
Is how I play it. And then once you got those rules down, like you understood what nice do, boom, it's team versus team.
Well, I would agree with you, except you can only play co-op 1 to 3.
Yeah.
So then which technically you can play team versus team with 3 people or 2.
Right.
You don't play team. That's not a team.
Right.
Like 1 versus 1 is not a team.
Right.
2 versus 1, one side's a team, and the other person is just okay. I guess I'm here.
But there also wasn't a whole lot of cooperative strategizing.
Not really.
We pretty much each took our own turns. We knew our strengths. We saw our options. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple of times I was like, well, what do you... I have to think about this. And
Right.
It's like, hey, as long as the imps don't come out, then we're good. I don't care what it does.
Part of it is, I just didn't want to bring up every single time, well, which of these options should we all choose together?
Yeah,
just slowing things down.
It's true.
The other thing we did not do, other than for the magic portal, any spot that had a special ability, we just fully ignored.
Yeah.
Most of the time. This one...
That's what I'm saying. The magic portal, like that magic spot,
that
was
one.
the
Yeah.
only one that
Yeah.
we did.
Because you don't ever really have to utilize it. The AI is so stupid.
Right.
And, I mean, half the time, yeah, based off rules, it was like, okay, well, theoretically it would do this, but it should make sense to go after this Elder.
Right.
Because, yeah, like, it's the weakest one. And, like, whenever the Imp Lord summoned a Imp, and it's like, okay, well, technically it doesn't say where it goes, but it would make sense for it to go in this one and kill that Elder outright.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the square special abilities, I don't think that it adds anything useful.
No.
I think it just complicates things unnecessarily.
In co-op? Or just
In
in
any of
general?
these
Serious.
modes. And we ignored them most of the time. I forgot about them most of the time.
Yeah, I think...
And then it would
Really the
depend
one
on
that gives you your
placement.
magic if you can spam your ability.
Right. It's the only one that get utilized on a regular basis. The only
Yeah.
one that people focus on. We forgot multiple times the -1 health on both sides, monster and
Yeah.
person. We forgot the heal one. I don't think that was as often, but I know
Yeah.
it did. Once
I think
or
it's also
twice.
just because they're on the corners.
Yep.
They're all on the edges, and so if maybe... Well, actually, no, never mind. They're all going to be on the edges because the seal always has to be in the middle.
Right.
But they're all on one side, so if you're on any of the main half of the board, then you're like, well, they're never coming into play.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, you can't play the cooperative to get people used to the game, I don't think,
No mass
because...
quantities.
Because then you're going to be like, okay, we have 3. Well, to do team versus team, we need a 4th player. Well, they don't know how to play.
Right.
And
Unless it's the person teaching. You teach
yeah,
3 others,
that's true.
And then
yeah.
you play...
Yeah. And
I think that's going to be a bigger undertaking than most people want all at once.
yeah,
Hey, you want to learn this intro game and then play it for real?
right. And I've never really liked stuff like that, where the intro game is just a shell, or even in this case a completely different mode.
Right.
Like it's not like a tutorial to a main campaign where it's like, okay, well we're all learning it together. Now let's play out the rest of the campaign together.
Right.
Like Sleeping Gods, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Bard Sung has a tutorial where it's like, okay, here's a little bit of stuff so you're familiar with the game,
Yeah.
and now let's add more so
Right.
it's not as overwhelming.
Yeah.
I just
Well, Sleeping Gods tutorial wasn't even a tutorial. It was a, here's what you do. And here's,
and Jaws
here's what happened.
Sleeping Gods, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Here's
thought you
exactly
said-
what happened. Pretend you drew this card.
Yeah.
Because they illustrate the point and explain
Right.
it.
Jaws
So
of the Lion does something similar where it's just kind of like, hey, here's your basic attacks. Your first attack is this.
Okay.
And then it kind of opens up for the next 5 games of the tutorial system. But here's the weird thing is like, I never understand what these games, who they're for.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, do you want a, 1v1, like strategic move around the board to fight each other? Then you're usually not getting people who like cooperative games. If you're winning cooperative games, then you're playing a game that's not really designed for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So and this is kind of like, well, you multitasked on too many things and you failed on both of them.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I guess I say fail, that's more harsh. This isn't a, dog shit cooperative game.
Right.
It's
Nope.
fine.
Yeah. But it does feel like an afterthought. It
Yeah.
feels like it's a team versus team game that they went, hey, we could make this more versatile.
Yeah, hey, oh, well, we don't want to upset the cooperative gamers. So
Right. It's
let's
the
add
same
this
thing
in.
of adding solo to
Right.
tons of games that don't inherently need a solo.
Exactly. Or the reverse of that, it's like, hey, we designed this game for 4 players. What if I want to play with 5? All right, fine, fucker. Here's your 5th player expansion. The game's going to suck now.
Right.
But here's you can do it. So, I mean, it did a decent job of having, okay, we're tied to these imps, and on your turn, they go first. So you can't ever really predict what they're going to do.
Right.
Which is kind of like if someone was playing the demons, you don't know exactly what they're going to be able to do.
Right.
But all of that alluded to, well, it doesn't really matter because we just have so much agency over anything.
Right.
So I never felt like they were a good AI, and there's no way to change any of that. Because, once again, an afterthought, rulebook is...
The rule
One
book's
page.
not great.
It's literally that. It's just this page, and this is just some clarifications for
Specific demons.
2 demons, the Imp
Yeah.
Lord and the Frozen Lurker. So the rest of it is, okay, I guess they move, like, hey, here's how they move. here's their priority target, which is on the back. So that's it. I don't know. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give the co-op 5 feels too high for some reason.
I agree, but on the scale of what we normally give a 5, I think it is a 5. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great game.
It's got some flaws, but it's got some smoothness.
Yeah.
So, kind of in the middle.
So I'll put it right in the middle, like 5.
It's just never going to challenge me.
Yeah, like I would
so
never...
for a co-op game, it's not my type of co-op
Exactly,
game.
yeah.
But for people who want to play a co-op game, who want to play a light game that wants to socialize and have a beer and relax and game with friends and kind of know it's going to be hard to lose, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Those kind of games are always so hard to me because it's like if I want to do those kind of stuff, I'll just do those.
Right.
Like, I'll play Jackbox or something. Like,
Right.
I don't want to do the whole rigmarole of setting up the game to then casually just hey.
Yeah.
Or I'll play party games. But
Yeah.
it's just so odd.
I've been in game groups that's what the game group felt like always. It was snacks
Right.
and beers, and they played light games, which, you know, is great. I can do that every now and then.
Yeah.
But then I need my chunky game.
Right.
I need my meat
I need
and
to
potatoes.
actually be challenged.
And those attitudes to me always feel like larger groups would want to participate.
Yeah.
That's also true, and this is weirdly limited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it's
3 is limited.
It's
Well, see, it feels to me like it's an evolution of Ghost Stories and Last Bastion. Very, very similar
I see.
mechanics, very, very similar board layout.
Yeah.
Definitely adds layers of complexity, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, and some value on top of that. But it really just feels like an evolution of that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And especially, I mean, I guess I would rather play this than that.
Right.
Because at least I have some control over what I'm doing.
And additional powers that come up into play.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this goes to both of it. The cards are cool. All of them have 3 options, pretty much, for the most part.
Yeah.
There are some that don't, but even the ones that don't have 3 options, I don't have one in my hand right now, kind of still give you 2 options because it's still a double of 2 different options.
Yeah, I think there are always 3 options if you think about it, because you have the 2
Right.
and then the minor action on the back.
Right. So you always have 3 options on every single card, which to me, that's cool. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. The multi-use cards is definitely the highlight of this game.
Yep.
So
I like the seals, because the seals are actually pretty powerful.
They are.
Yeah.
Are you guys giving the co-op a 5?
I'm giving the co-op a 5.
Or were you giving it?
I would go 6. Even.
6? Okay. And see, that's not even, like, offensive. Like,
Right,
I can
yeah.
see people just kind of, like, who could enjoy this. This is definitely just not for me.
Right.
So then we go to the team versus team, which we played prior to the cooperative because I wanted to at least talk about that because that's the main way of playing it.
Right.
So I can see the team versus team being stronger than my initial thoughts because this rule book it's not the worst I've ever read,
Nope.
but
It's lacking in some key ways.
in some very specific details that in a team versus team can make or break.
Right.
You know how
Attitudes, friendships.
well, even just
You'll notice we don't have 4 anymore.
we had 4 for the team versus team. But yeah, so in team versus team, one side plays the demons, one side plays the knights. Then the knights technically start out with 1 point ahead, and they get a point consistently at the end of every round. So it's like a longevity. How long can we survive before the demons inevitably kill the elders? Like it's just gonna happen. But the demons can jump in victory points quite rapidly, actually. So with the team versus team, I felt it was actually really balanced.
I did
Like
too.
I felt some powers like on the demon side might have been more busted. Did you guys ever feel like, oh man, like those knights, like that ability sucks? Like that's
against you?
against us, yeah. Like it's like because like there were times where we were like, okay, the Imp Lord is clearly OP.
I would say just overall, the fact that the knights can just jump in and defend the elders instantly, and it's hard to work around that.
Yeah, maybe that's what the balance is. If the knights can constantly just ramp up their defense and hop in
I think
at any
so.
given moment, and the demon powers are more powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, fine, you want to defend, we're going to kill you, and then at least
Right.
get a point that way.
I will say that the whole elders mechanic is a really nice strategic and it's a great addition over Ghost Stories Last Bastion, those types of things. Having a third element that is a goal, that is something that it's not a requirement to achieve, but it really is. It's fundamental.
Probably for the demons, like I can't see the demons winning on just killing knights.
Because the knights get a point per turn, so that means demons have to kill
both knights each round. They'd have to kill both knights.
Right. Just to keep pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. No, I agree. I think the Elders is a very, very nice change of pace. It's not just our knights versus your demons. It throws a little wrench in there where it's like, man, do we let that Elder die?
Right. Because we sacrificed a lot of knights in the team versus team to save Elders.
Yeah.
And...
Well, because there's also that element. It's like, okay, yeah, we could let him go and keep that knight. I think it was when the Wind Knight died. It's like, you could sacrifice him because that only gives them 1 point instead of the 2. And I like that kind of way of thinking.
Right. And that kind of decision making that, okay, my knight's good, but is it good enough to basically give them an extra point right now?
Yeah.
Like, are we going to benefit more by keeping, the healing knight?
Yep.
I probably actually would sacrifice an Elder to keep that one alive.
try and keep him around. Or even if we have the Wrath Knight out, it's like, because, like, if I have the Wrath Knight before you get to go, it's like, let that Elder die because I can do 2 damage to, to Brett, and he's already gone.
Right.
So since he can't go anymore, unless, like, the other demon player is going to be able to run in and heal him, then you can probably kill him.
Right.
Yeah. And conversely, the demon strategy is primarily, how do we wear you guys down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You hit every
pick
Elder
off
a little
people.
bit.
How do we separate from you and attack the isolated
how do you
Elders?
move us into corners to where we can't rush and defend?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun that there are different strategies. So if we played the same 4 people, reverse the teams.
Yeah.
I think it would be a very different feeling kind of game.
Yeah. And you know what I was actually... This is going to sound way worse than I mean it to be, and so I apologize if this offends. But whenever I set this up as team versus team, I thought that Zach and I would have an edge against you and other Zach. Because we just play games like those, like competitive 1v1 kind of games. So I was like, is this going to be too skewed to have those like-minded people on the same team?
Valid.
No. This is actually a surprisingly competitive game where... It feels like it meets... It works for every type of thinker.
Right.
Where it's not like, okay, if we do... If there was like a team chess game, I feel like Zach and I would do relatively well against people who have never played chess.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this game, it's like, oh, you've never really played a team versus team tactical movement game? You know what? That's fine. I feel like you're going to do well.
I think some of that is the fact that... these cards are super random.
Yeah.
But not random enough like you can't kind of have an idea of what you're going to do. But there is no real super long-term strategy because you're getting a new hand every single turn.
Right. You can't hold on to cards.
You can't hold on to cards. So even players who are less strategic still can compete with strategic players because the strategic players just can't long-term plan.
Yeah.
They can better plan in a round, theoretically.
Yeah.
But we've seen this game can change rapidly that a round might not matter that much.
True. I think it would appeal. What do they have an age recommendation? It's not convenient. Sorry.
I was looking at the number of players. I was like, 1 to 6.
But I could see
13.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see clever 12, 13-year-olds enjoying it.
Yeah. The
with their parents or their uncle and aunt.
Right. With the way that the cards so drastically change and the fact that you can't hoard cards, I think that is what kind of gives it an edge of balancing everything out because you have no way of predicting what your opponent might be able to, what they might have.
Or what your next card's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, because I saw there were definitely cards like, oh wow, if you had those 3 cards in a row, you could, destroy a demon in 1 move and then move 14 spaces and, do 1 damage every spot you move.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that's true.
the chance that you could ever get those cards because you can't hoard, you can't
Yeah.
store up, you can't basically keep it till you get that perfect hand.
And even with the possibility of other enemies slowing you, and then you actually
Right.
just kind of effectively. I like the fact that it doesn't just take a card away.
Right.
It's just like, no, you can still use it. It's just now one of these shittier actions.
Right.
And
It's better than this card, but definitely not as good as any of these cards.
any of the actual ones, yeah. And I think the fact where whenever each time I got a new hand, it was like, I was like, this seems the best way to use these. However, the board state, I gotta
Right.
use them this way. This isn't cool, but range attack, range attack, range attack. All right, I killed you. 1 point. That wasn't cool, but
Right.
I had all these badass abilities. Because like you were talking about with the seal and mark cards,
Yeah.
which I still haven't figured out I think seal is just for the knights.
I think so.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Demon mark.
And the demon's
makes
mark. You can only ever have one of them,
Yep.
and all of them are good.
All of
It's
them
like-
are good.
Well, shit.
I mean,
Well,
some are a little bit more situational, but
Yeah.
they're all good. Like, so I have one.
Like, imagine the Quiver of Life that you can use range attacks to heal on the who was it? Not the Wind Knight. On the Seer Knight.
Yes.
You can use melee attacks or range attacks. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'll just be here and just fucking heal.
Better one. Pulsing Flame on the Holy Knight. Every time you move into a space, do 1 damage to an enemy. She also heals
And then you
herself.
heal, yeah.
Or
So
somebody else.
So literally, you can just walk around doing damage
While never
healing.
dying, yeah. Yeah, and it's really cool that because that would be good on anyone.
Right.
But there are some knights and some demons that certain cards are better for.
Right.
Not that they're specific to them, but it's like, yeah, this is really good. Like we saw it with the Imp Lord.
Yeah.
Where he
had the
had
healing
the
card.
heal at the end of your turn, and it effectively wiped him from even a consideration of us killing him.
Right. We had to do so much damage
Yeah.
consistently.
Yep.
That was like, I don't think with both of us taking our entire turns, we could do it enough.
Right, right. I mean, we probably could have, if we, in one full round, if we killed all the imps, because then he would just get one, but then again, it's like, okay, then his entire turn is bringing him back out. His
Right.
magic ability. We'd have to get lucky and hope he doesn't have magic.
Well,
in
but
his
he can
hand.
spend every 2 cards. So he can get 2 imps no matter what, because he can spend 4 cards to get 2 imps.
To use magic.
And so he would have 3 imps on the board.
No, the basic doesn't give. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, so so he could have 3 imps
Yeah.
every single round.
Yeah.
We had the disadvantage that he was also the first player every single time, so he always had an extra imp no matter what.
Yeah.
Then he could then basically look around, decide I can always make more imps if I want to. And so basically, it was an unblockable fortress.
Pretty much, especially because it's like his create imp, he also gets to take an action with it.
Right.
And he can place it in closer or adjacent. So, like, really, in all reality, he should have just holed up in the middle.
Yes.
And then just spawn them in adjacent spots and then have them attack. It
And
doesn't
make
matter
them-
who he's attacking. They're all
make them
attacking.
walk away, make them go into corners.
Yep.
So they're the farthest way possible.
Yeah. So,
Is it-
I
yeah.
really do think out of all the demons, the Imp Lord is the most busted.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
all of them are good, and that's the thing, is like all the demons and all the knights are good. Like, I don't feel like, well, this one's useless, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Molten Scion has
played-
9 health.
I played 4 of them in that game, and they were all
They were all good, and it's like,
balanced. And
we didn't really get to see them utilized super well because we had to focus fire on you.
Yep.
Because
Right.
it's like, well, the Imp Lord's fucking useless. Or not useless, like, not
Useful.
even an option.
yeah.
It wasn't worth the amount of effort to kill it for 1 point, and it wasn't doing enough damage to basically say, we have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those, it's that risk-reward type thing where yours were doing a lot more damage, and were easier
And
to kill.
we can kill you.
So it was points and damage control.
Yeah. But at the
Which
same
is its own interesting balance. Is that
Right.
it's an annoyance.
Yeah.
But it's not a real problem.
Yeah, because I feel like he's not at it could have just been best case scenario for him, because if he was last, then yeah, he's effectively, he sucks ass.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he's going to get 1 imp at the beginning, but we just kill it,
Right.
and then we can focus fire.
Then
He
you
only
can-
has 5 health.
And then you can destroy him pretty easily.
Yeah. So that is very fascinating that some knights and demons are stronger or weaker depending on turn order.
So,
Which, do you think that's a benefit or a positive or a negative?
I don't know, because there is a stagnant turn order, right?
Yep. Demon Knight.
And you would at best be able to do it in the team battle where basically it would go demon, then demon, demon, then demon, right? Because demons always have to go first.
Yep.
So it would just basically say whoever was the second, first knight, second knight, it would just flip-flop equally, right? I think in the rare occurrence, like where you had the Imp Lord be the first one, it's kind of just unlucky.
Yeah.
It definitely gives probably a slight advantage to the demons in that situation.
Yeah.
But it's also just a draw of a card. It's chance.
Yeah. I mean, technically, demons set up, and it's like, oh, we got 2? Okay, well, I'm going first. I'm picking Imp Lord.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know which would have been better, if it goes Demon Knight, or if it went demons go first, but they pick who goes. And the knights go first, and they pick who goes.
Right, so how I would probably do it is, because the demons are going to go first. Give them their demons, they pick their demon, then flip a coin for which demon goes first. Because then if I choose the Imp Lord, I have a 50-50 shot of actually going first, and if I don't, I've pretty much hurt my team realistically versus help my team.
True, because
I'm giving them a point, because they're going to focus on me that immediately.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that changes things.
Yeah.
It may not be that simple.
Personally,
because the other demon player can summon demons some of the time, depending on the card.
that is also true.
Yeah.
Like, and they can. What was it?
Imps,
It was command,
it
right?
Can summon imps.
Actually, yeah. Any demon could use command to add an imp.
That's right.
Oh, is it to add an imp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use a
Two
closer adjacent imp, or use 2 to add an imp.
Oh.
So if the Imp Lord was going last, then it would be like, okay, on my turn, I'm just going to use these commands and bring out more for you. So I mean, still, he doesn't he can only use imps, I guess, if he's commanding as well. But his ability doesn't allow him to utilize them except as defense.
Right.
Yeah, personally, I'm not a fan of the static turn order. I think it's hard because you want to keep it tactile, like Onitama or chess, where it's like I'm going to take 2 turns in chess
In a row.
Well, yeah, but it's not such a strategic game that the turn order really matters that much.
I think it is.
Oh,
I think it becomes that. I think the first few plays and there are a few games that are like this, where it's like, yeah, you're kind of playing the game, but then as you play more and more, then it becomes more about trying to read other people and trying to strategize more against.
Okay.
So 100% during the end round, like when imps were attacking, because I knew I was always last, I had to make more decisions of do I even jump in to defend stuff, because I'm giving 2 demons a full turn to come and kill my knight. I'm that much weaker.
Yeah.
Where like Seth only had to contend with 1 demon, so Zach had to literally come in and just wipe him out all by himself before he had a turn to heal, to move off action, to do enough damage to basically threaten.
Yeah. Because anything Zach could do to me, not this one, the other one. To me, he had to hope I couldn't counteract it. Like, if he does 4 damage to me and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to heal, then your turn is effectively null and void if you wanted to also kill me.
Right.
Granted, that's also if you're trying to kill the knights, which isn't your primary focus.
Right.
It is to whittle elders down, because we only have so much healing.
Right.
We have to kill you guys to stay ahead, so there is balance there.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that you are always going last.
Yeah.
Like, Zach is always going first. There's no... And in that, I think you actually lose teammate cooperation.
Yes.
Yeah, there is some there, where it's like, hey, can you... Like, I have these multi-use cards. I could probably kill Brett, but I really want to use this ability. Can you do any damage? No. Fuck.
It really stops it from... Seth has to rely that I can finish up any task that he couldn't.
Right.
Where, let's say I had a good way to start, like, just doing max damage all around, and then Seth can go and choose what to clean up after the action. There's never going to be that option.
Yeah.
So if I had something that was just kind of, do 1 damage to everything.
Yeah.
Well, Zach's going to get a turn before that, and you only have the imps in between that. They're going to do all their actions between it. And there were times where it's like, I can do 1 damage to all the imps, so they now just all heal.
Yeah, but they would all... Yeah, it's kind of a wasted turn.
Right.
At least you feel it's a wasted turn, but it's like, in all reality, it's not, because then they all have to heal.
Right.
And they're not...
Instead of doing other damage.
Instead of doing other stuff,
causing problems.
I don't know. I wouldn't have done the turn by turn. I would have done it in either, like, okay, it's the demon's turn. They pick which one goes. And then the knights pick which one goes. Then the other demon goes, then the other knight goes. I feel like that allows a lot more agency, a lot more strategy, and a lot more cooperation between teams.
Right.
I was thinking, what if you went demon first, then the two knights, and then a demon? But I think that would just be.
I think that would be hard once you got to 3-on-3.
True.
Or 2-on-5.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
the alternating.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they have it stagnant is because it doesn't matter the player count.
True. Yeah. That is.
And also, it's probably to inhibit the kinds of synergistic attacks that you guys have been talking about. Because if the same team got two of their characters to go at the same time,
I agree. I don't think
I think that would be
a team going two characters at the same time works, but not being able to change which knight goes first.
Yeah.
Is a little bit more frustrating.
Well, here's the other frustrating part. So let's talk about the negatives. This rulebook is extremely frustrating.
Yep.
It is so, like, lazy in its explanation that it comes off very much as the designer was like, yeah, no, I get it. It's like, well, yeah, you fucking know. You made the game. Like, you need to write rules as if you are explaining it to the dumbest person. And because you didn't do that...
You should playtest it with the dumbest people you can find.
Right. So I was just going to make a fucking... I'm not going to bring politics in. I was like, man, I have a solid joke for that. But, no. But yes, that's exactly kind of what you do, because gaps in your... Like, in your mind, attacking and dealing damage, those are the same thing. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, to you. Mm-hmm. But when people are specifically reading the fact that your rulebook says something different and your player aid says something different, then it brings into the fact, and the Imp Lord's the best example of this, where it's like, when attacked, you may trade places with any imp so the attack hits the imp instead. Okay, cool. What's considered an attack? Because we have cards that say deal damage. Is that an attack? Or is it specifically when someone uses the range and melee icons?
Right.
Because...
And this was a long discussion.
It was. And it actually came down to who wins.
Yeah.
Like...
it's a fundamental strategy of the entire game.
Yeah.
Is whether or not you can do this based on what I do.
Exactly. And that's so frustrating because those types of discussions always come off as if the people arguing are lying to twist it in their way so they can win a game.
It can feel that way.
And it's like, no, here's just how I'm trying to figure it out, and it's frustrating that we even have to do this because in the rule book it states, okay, here are your actions. Then melee and range say deal 1 damage, and all these cards say deal 3 damage. It's like, okay, well, let's apply it to other games that do this. And I mentioned Gloomhaven, where it says deal damage that bypasses defense. Okay, so that's just a flat damage. Therefore, the Imp Lord's ability cannot go off unless he's specifically attacked
certain
by
types
melee
of
range.
attacks.
Well, no, because then we find out in a fucking example later on that it states dealing this damage is he's attacked by this card that says deal 2 damage.
Right.
And it even explains it as adjacent range and closest melee.
Right. Yeah.
Because that matters for the Wind Lord or the Wind Knight.
Yeah.
Because it can block range attacks anywhere on the board.
Right.
Yeah.
But because you have an action that specifically says range, and then these cards are saying deal damage adjacently.
Yeah. They only needed to add one word to each of those phrases
to
clarify. 1 melee damage.
Yeah.
1 ranged attack.
Yep.
Or icons on the card, because you have things that say close or adjacent, so just put both icons on there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I also remember...
Yeah, I mean, we've even got the player aid that says, here's what's close and here's what's adjacent.
Yeah.
So why not add, here's what's melee and here's what's ranged?
Yeah, because whenever we were describing the very first attack you guys did, Zach was like, oh, can I use my ability? And I remember stating, well, in my head, close is melee and adjacent is ranged, but that's not what's stated.
Yeah, they don't use those words.
Yeah.
And they do use those words, so how do those fit together?
And that actually is probably the most frustrating thing. You have 2 terms, so this is range or adjacent.
Yeah.
Just call them one or the other.
Yeah.
So this is range, or instead of range attacks, it's adjacent attacks. And then all your terminology goes off of that.
Close attacks.
Which,
there's no melee, there's close attack.
yeah, and I mean,
Right.
but this is where he was making assumptions, because he's like, well, I gave you this. He's like, what more do you fucking want, you morons?
Well-
is what T. Alex Davis is saying.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this, it says melee, attack, close, 1.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you can read between the lines and be like, oh, clearly this is obviously what that is. It says close, that's melee. Therefore, we can jump in and defend as knights. Therefore, every time the Imp Lord's attacked, he can swap it with an imp.
Yeah. But the most insulting thing on this very subject is that they even added terminology to one of the player aids.
Yeah.
So they knew that there needed to be some clarity,
Right.
but they missed that there needed to be more clarity.
Right. It's like, yeah, because it's like terms should have been like, oh, what's
And these are good because these need clarity.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well,
They're heavily implied, but it's specifically spelled out so you know exactly what it
right.
means.
Like, what's an ally? What's an enemy?
Yeah.
Allies are everything on your side. Enemies are anything not on your side.
Allies are anything on your side except you.
Except, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because some games use ally as also yourself.
Yeah.
And so spell it out very clearly. These
Right.
are good. You missed a few that turned out to be very important.
Exactly. And that shit is just so frustrating when you're trying to be like, okay, well, let me try and find it in the rule book. Oh, let me scroll through the story stuff and the campaign and the one-page co-op, and then let's see if I
Find
can
an example.
And then see if I can. Yeah, but that's the thing, is your rules should not be in examples.
I agree.
That is, like, he must have like it must have been like an intern he didn't feel like paying to read the rule book, because it's so bad. And I always hate, because apparently there's a updated one, and it's like, well, how about you don't release the game then?
I think there's a fundamental flaw in some playtesting, which is the author is teaching the game,
Yeah,
and here's the book.
yeah,
No. Here's the game. Here's the book. You tell me later.
yeah. Because so many
You play,
designers.
I'll be here in about 2 hours. You can tell me how you played it.
Yeah,
after
here's
2
here's
hours.
a clipboard, a pen and paper. Write down every, like, no matter how asinine you think it is, write it down, because if it's not clear and there's 6 of you playing, well then it's not you guys.
and tell me what you guys made up as the rule.
Yeah,
Like, tell me what your guys' assumption, what
Yeah.
you guys came up as a group is the rule. If I don't like that, if I think that's not how it should be done, then I need to explicitly say how to fix that part.
Yeah.
Because if everybody makes the same assumption, like you test this 10,000 times, and yes, your wording is a little bit off and you should go fix it. But if everybody makes the same assumption, like close means close attack, it doesn't matter what it is,
yeah,
then you're fine. You're good.
right.
Your terminology
Yeah, you're
works.
like, clearly everyone got it.
Right. If you don't have it where it's at least 90% are doing that,
Yeah,
you didn't write it well.
yeah. Because sometimes some people just don't get something.
Right.
But if we had 4 people playing the team versus team, and it's like we were all like on totally different wavelengths.
Right.
And it's like, if it was one person who was like, well, that doesn't make sense to me, but the other 3 are like, well, it's so obvious that it's that, then yeah, it's a different story. But we were all like, well, here's how I took it. Here's how we did it. Okay, well, actually, no, that's not how I heard the way we were doing it.
Right.
And then we discussed it long enough that at least 2 of us flipped sides.
Right? Yeah, 'cause it's like, you convinced me. Well, you convinced me. And in a game that wants to be tactile like this, you can't have those options, because it's gonna feel more personal,
Right.
and I just don't like that.
Yep.
But other than that, like, I think it's a pretty interesting, strategy, team versus team. I don't play a whole lot of those. But the weird part? I don't see myself playing this a lot. Like, once again, I would need 4. And if
At
I
least.
have 4 people, yeah, I'm not doing this 3 or... Maybe 1v1 wouldn't be bad. What's
Maybe.
the setup for 1v1? It is
Is that the
each
campaign?
player draws... No, that you can do the campaign. Campaign's cooperative. 2 players. Each player draws 3 random character cards from their team deck and chooses 2. Okay, so you control 2
Okay.
demons. And so, but in that instance, that would probably be the way I'd want to do it, because then you can decide which demon you want to do. Like, if I controlled, the 2 knights, if I controlled the Guardian Knight and the Phase Knight, and for the record, the design of all the knights and demons I think is great.
Yeah.
I really like their design. I think they're super cool, and they fit well to their names.
And the cards, the icons, is all very simple and easy to follow.
The art's great.
It's Ryan Lockett. What do you expect?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I honestly like the typeset that they used. For
I don't know what
everything.
kind of art style you would call this.
Gothic?
No, because it looks. I don't know, because it's not clear. It's not crystal clear. It's like weirdly faded and like as if someone did a crystal like this was very highly detailed and then they went and smeared it.
Yeah, it's like a near impressionist. Gothic.
Yeah, it's just so I don't know. Anyone who's an artist could let me know in the comments. But I like that in the 1v1 because if I have the Phase Knight and the Guardian Knight, it's my turn as a knight. Okay, I'm gonna activate this one.
Yeah.
Which I was rereading the way the turn order works, and it almost seems like that's what it was going to be. Once again, this is just not clear.
Right.
Game structure. Starting with the first character, a demon always goes first. Each character takes a turn in alternating turn order. Demon Knight, Demon Knight. Which leads me to believe that, yes, you have a very static, you go, I go, you go, he goes.
But as written, it is flexible.
It does sound like that. It was kind of like
each turn, the team can decide who goes first,
which character on, and because if you're playing it as a 2-player game, that is how it would be.
Right.
You pick which one, they go. You're as a demon player, pick one, go, then you do the other one.
Which would definitely increase the team dynamics. So, I honestly at this point probably would just house rule if I was going to play this game, and just say, the team is going to make the decision every single round. You can decide that, you take 2 minutes, look over each other's cards.
Yeah.
You make a decision. You announce it to the table, so there's no changes up, so that way...
Yeah.
You
can't change cards or anything like that. You
Right.
can't just, this is, oh man, okay, here's what I got.
Right, because like if the
that's
demon
not
does
bad.
something that just completely messes up our plan, like as the knights...
Yeah.
Well, okay, you go, and then I might be able to fix this.
Yeah, because then it relies more on strategy. You're not reliant on... Like if these were my cards, and then you do something, and it's like, oh damn, I don't have anything to counteract that. Okay, like it's like it would allow me to be like, oh okay, well Brett, can you do anything to stop that? Yeah, I can. Oh, okay, well then we'll have you go, because then maybe I could do something with these.
Right.
So again, maybe that was his intention to leave it ambiguous.
Maybe,
but I hate that. It's like. I don't like that
because you
in
don't
board
need
games.
to. You could just spell it out saying like, hey, you can go static turn order, or you guys as a team can always make a choice of which one goes which.
Yeah, or even, because I don't like house ruling. This is something I've never been into. It's not my job to try and fix your game. I have too many games to play. I'm going to play the ones that, straight out of the box, I know what to do. But it's like, if you want it to be, structured turn order, then at least throw in a variant rule, customizable turn order or whatever. Right. But that was a lot of work, and he didn't feel like putting that in there. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Once again, I don't want to play this cooperative.
Nope.
Campaign I'm intrigued by.
Yeah. Especially the storyline.
Might have you and I jump on that. Just because it's 1 to 2. And Zach hates me, and he's never free when I need him to be.
I'm definitely feeling better about the game overall than you are. So
I don't hate this game.
No, I know, but I mean,
but I think you would like it more. Out of the 4 of us doing the campaign, you would probably be the stronger one to do it with. So I'm intrigued by the campaign. And if someone were to be like, "Hey, we need a 4th player, we need a 6th player for to do Nightfall, would you play?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Like I'd immediately jump in, but I don't feel like I would be the one organizing this.
Or suggesting it.
I don't. To be fair, I don't have a lot of team versus team games, and there's a reason for that. I don't have Captain Sonar because I need 8 people. 6 if I'm really desperate. Yeah. 6 isn't bad because 2 of the rolls are pretty close.
Are light.
But I would never play that with less.
Yeah. No, I would never.
And I would never do turn by turn. Even to teach it, I'd be like, buckle up. Yeah. Like turn by turn.
I've never played that game turn by turn.
It sucks. It's so slow, and it's not engaging or fun at all. But it's like, I get it if you're having 5 people who have never played, and you're like, okay, let's explain. Sure. But I'm like, you're just gonna get it.
And the thing is, if you want to play that game with less people, go get Sonar. It's built for 4 people,
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was another one.
Because they realized that 8 people is a lot.
It's rough. It's basically a convention game.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, overall, I think it's an extremely balanced, pretty fun team versus team game. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys give the team versus team? Because we're at a 5 or 6 for the co-op.
I'm probably still a 5, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
I don't know. I'm torn between like 7 and 8.
7 and 8?
Feels more like a 7.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm feeling 7 for the team versus team. I could argue a 6 because that rulebook ambiguity is very frustrating.
Okay, so there. If I'm torn between 7 and 8, the rulebook flaws are going to make it a 7.
Right, right. But I think they're not so... Like, we were still able to play the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And it's like, as long as you have people who aren't going to be, like, stubborn, then everyone could be like, okay, yeah, that makes the most sense. And you just go from there. So it's not that big of an issue for me to be like, oh, it's going way down. But, yeah, I mean, I had a good time. So, 7 out of 10. But that's our thoughts on Nightfall, everyone. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.